Hey there, so I'm starting a new draft in the new regulation MA, and this will be my first draft on Champion. I will actually play on the Nintendo Switch, and there will be a lot of other great players, as you can see from this tab. And I wanted to showcase in this first video the team I've drafted. So let's start. As a Mega, I've chosen Mega Froslass. First of all, it's important to say I was last to pick between the 10 players. And we had this particular format where we had to draft 2 S tiers, 3 A tiers, 2 B tiers, and 1 C tier. And we had a choice on the Mega, and we had to choose from, basically they were divided in 3 pools, M1, M2, and M3. If you chose a Mega from the M1 pool, so the strongest like Mega Floette or Mega Charizard Epsilon, you'd be awarded an extra B tier, so a lower tier. And if you picked an M2 Mega, you'd get an extra A tier. And if you got an M3 Mega, so the weakest ones, you could choose between an extra M3 or an S tier. So it was very interesting to plan around that. As I was last pick, I was planning around least interesting mega potential, basically less interesting megas, because I thought the most interesting one would go away instantly. But interestingly enough, most people didn't actually go for a Megaturn one. So when it was my turn, I got to pick Mega Froslass, which I'm very happy about. It's an M2. It was in the M2 pool, so I get an extra A tier. And it felt like amazing value, probably the best from the M2 tier. So I already played in this regulation with Froslass. I felt like it's a great Pokemon, and in draft it gets even more potential and could be even slower depending on the opposing team. So I can put even more in bulk or offense. I can run Aurora Veil, Will-O-Wisp, Anchor. Lots of potential moves that maybe you can't always fit in the same way, even Nasty Plot, Substitute, lots of cool stuff. And as my second pick, which I made instantly with Froslass, I got to Garchomp. It was a great duo, so there weren't a lot of ground types, so I was very happy with this. I could get one of the best, if not the best ground type of the format. And especially with Froslass, I already had the ground and ice coverage, which is not easy to get around. And yeah, so Garchomp is my first S tier. And then I won't go actually in the order of picks, I'll just go in tier order to give you an idea. My second S tier was actually Corviknight, which is amazing because I already got a great Dragon type and a great Steel type, which is also rare to find in lower tiers. And Garchomp Corviknight is amazing duo with Froslass also. I'm kinda doing the old Ninetales Garchomp Corviknight or the even older Ninetales Garchomp Celesteela trio. Works really well, gives me Tailwind, gives me setup, so I'm very happy with this pick. And now to the 8 tiers. The first one is Infernape, which I was very interested from the start of the draft. It's kind of a cheaper Sneasler, because Sneasler was of course S tier, Infernape is A tier, still gives me a fast fake out Pokemon with fighting type coverage, which works amazingly with Froslass. As fire coverage, which also works great with Froslass and gives me a fire type. As coaching for Garchomp, can be physical, can be special, can be mixed. And even as some support moves that Sneasler does not get, like Anchor. So that's very interesting and we likely run it. And could potentially even do something like Anchor Infernape with Disable Froslass maybe in 1 week. We'll see. And so I'm very happy with that pick. Next pick was Gardevoir, which gives me Fairy type, especially one that works very well with Garchomp thanks to telepathy. So I'm very happy with that pick. It can be Scarf, can be Citrus, can be Fairy Feather. So it's not the strongest Fairy, but it's probably one of the best you could draft outside the S tier. So I'm happy with that. And then I got the Rotom-Mow, which I was a bit unsure at the start. I was also interested in Bellibolt, but in the end I opted for Rotom-Mow because it gives me a Levitate Pokemon with Garchomp. Rotom is great, so works out well. Like even the grass coverage is nice against the bulky water types, which maybe harder to hit for the rest of the team. It means right now the team is a bit fire weaker than it would like to, but it works out. I think can be Scarf, can give me another Will-O-Wisp Pokemon, gives me Discharge, and most importantly Levitate and a Grass type. So it was a great deal for a 8-year in my opinion. And as my last 8-year, which was my free pick that I had to pick as my last one because the free pick was after the mandatory picks, was Samurott Izui, which gives me a water type that I'm currently lacking, as well as a dark type, which is nice with Froslass. They should work decently well together because Samurott can take ghost and dark types that Froslass is weak against. Froslass can take the fighting types and can hit grass types that Samurott doesn't like. Also, Samurott has Sharpness, which is a great ability, plus Sacred Sword, so can hit steel types decently well, and with the water stab, of course, can hit fire types too, and rock types. So I think they'll cover each other decently well, and Aurora Veil should help out with the otherwise lacking bulk from Samurott in absence of Assault Vest and Terra. But I think it will be very nice. I'm hoping it performs well. And now to the B tiers. My first B tier pick was Scoville, which I mean, I already had both a grass type and a fire type, but I really was interested in getting a redirector. There were very few options. Between B tier, I could have chosen between Ariados and Scoville, and while Ariados would have given me two different types that I was lacking. I think in general Scoville is a bit stronger, even without the Mega, because the defensive stats are about the same. Ariados is just slightly bulkier, but at the same time Scoville is way faster, has way higher attack and special attack, can be physical, can be special in draft, which is cool, and also gets some cool moves in Spicy Extract, which works very well with Corviknight. And also has like Fire and Grass coverage, so offensively is better than an Ariados. And it's not like I will bring Rotom or maybe even Infernape every week, so I think it's still fine. Also, it has Moody, which is a way stronger ability than anything that Ariados gets. Plus, I think it works a bit better with both my Garchomp and Froslass, mainly because when I redirect, like, it kind of tanks. I mean, it doesn't tank because it's also grass type, so it's not resistant to fire. But compared to Ariados, it's not fire weak, which is better if I want to do something like Rage Powder plus Nasty Plot Froslass. And also, the fact it has Fire Stab means that if I'm doing setup with Froslass, I can use it offensively as well to hit the Steel type that would resist Boosted Blizzard, which is something important. And Ariados would not be able to do any of that. So I'm happy with this pick. Plus, it also hits the bulky water types that resist Blizzard, so I think it works out well. And yeah, also, as you can see, I've made different graphics. I'm planning to use these graphics the whole season. Hopefully you like them. Scoville is the only one that's not animated because it currently doesn't have on Showdown an animated sprite, so I couldn't take that, not even online like Froslass. So it is what it is. And to the next pick, it's Tauros. It's probably one of the weakest picks I got, but there weren't many interesting B tiers left, honestly, at that point. But Tauros does give me something. First of all, the normal type that I didn't have, so it's a Ghost Immunity, which is nice for Froslass. It has Intimidate, which is nice, I still didn't have one. And it also has Anger Point, which works well with Froslass because Froslass gets Frost Breath, which is an automatic crit move that can bring Tauros to +6 in the attack stat and potentially sweep. I don't know how often I will be able to do it, but it's an option I get, so for a B tier I don't think I can ask for much more. And lastly, my C tier, those are the weakest Pokemons you can get around, so nothing too strong. I got Arbok, which I think is fine as an option from the C tiers. Mainly gives me a poison type that I didn't have yet. And also another Intimidate option can also set up maybe with Coil plus Gang Shot. Now it also learns Scale Shot, so you can even boost its speed, sorry. So I thought it could be interesting as I was lacking the type. Another option I was considering was Simi Pur, which maybe it would have been stronger because it gives me another Fake Out Mon and another Water Pokemon if Samurott is not the best in that spot. Plus, it also learns Blizzard, which can use it with Froslass. But at the same time, I looked the various matchups and didn't see myself bringing it often. And the fact that it would potentially need the Focus Sash, which would often be potentially on Infernape, meant it wasn't as ideal in my opinion, and it didn't give me anything new. It gave me something probably stronger than Arbok, but Arbok gave me something that is kind of unique compared to the other Pokemon. Like no one is currently giving me a poison type. And like Intimidate was from Tauros, but Tauros again is not the best pick. So having two Intimidate low tiers gives me more flexibility in which one to choose and bring potentially. So that was kind of my reasoning behind it. And yeah, so I'm very hyped for this season. Next week should be my first match, and I will be facing KD, who is using a Floette team. Mega Floette, it was first to pick, so his team is very cool. Yeah, we'll see how it goes.